Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. I ruined my mom's life and reputation. Original post. My 40 female parents, dad 63 male, and mom 60 female, have been married for 43 years. I have 6 siblings, 42 female, 38 female, 34 female, 20 male twins, and 18 male. I have been with my husband, 39 male, since we were 15. I got pregnant at 17 and we moved in with my parents. I gave birth to my now 22-year-old daughter and we got married at 18 shortly after. My dad's father passed shortly after our wedding and left his ranch-style house to my father. My grandparents built a house next door to my parents when they retired, and my parents decided to let us live in this house and told us this would be my inheritance. My husband and I had no issues with this. We went on to have a 20 male, 14 female, 5 female, and I'm currently 7 months pregnant with my last child, a boy that's due in April. I thought I had a good marriage. We were intimate more than twice a week. We went on date nights, we bought each other gifts, and we didn't fight. My entire world was shattered on New Year's Eve when I returned early from a girls' trip I had taken with some friends, and I walked into my bedroom to find my mom doing it with my husband. My mother screamed at me to get out of their bedroom, which really shook me up even more. Unfortunately, my oldest daughter was also home in her bedroom across the house getting ready for a party. She ran out and witnessed my all but a bed-sheet naked mother run out of our house next door to her house and slam the door. My daughter was devastated and went to my sister's house. I asked her not to say anything until I first talked to my husband. I asked him for the truth, and he told me that my mom seduced him when we were 18 and living in their house. They'd been having unprotected activities at least once a month for longer than we were married. I ran the math and was horrified because the timeline meant my twin brothers and youngest brother could be my husbands. I immediately called my dad and told him to come to my house without my mom. I made my husband confess, and my dad was devastated. He and my mom were high school sweethearts too. Needless to say, we could hear my mother screaming from her house when he confronted her. I then told my older sister, and she and I decided to have her throw a party for the whole extended family, and we invited my ex's family as well. At the party, I had my 22 female daughter take all the kids to our basement and put on a movie, leaving only the adult children and siblings, and I told them exactly what they'd been doing. Most of the family is on my side, except my 3 youngest siblings, 38 female sister, and ex's entire family. They all say I'm a bad guy for dropping this publicly. Word got out, and my mom's best friend, who is on leadership at my mom's church, my childhood church, called me to verify. My mom has since been let go as the children's pastor there, and she claims I've essentially ruined her reputation and life. My dad kicked her out and she's now living with my 38 female sister. And lastly, my dad insisted on a DNA test for the 3 youngest boys before he'd consider anything to do with their marriage. The twins are my husband's bio children. I've since kicked him out and he's living with his parents. My father and I are discussing me moving into his much larger house and him selling my grandfather's house, and him giving me the money to buy a new house somewhere else to get rid of the memories. My husband is appalled and furious that I proved he actually is about to have 7 kids instead of 5, and that I'm going to be taking half his business away from him. My husband started his own HVAC company a few years back, and for the first 5 years, I helped him get it set up, ran the office completely, and took time away from my teaching career to help him get this established. In my state, all marital assets, including businesses, are split 50-50. Since the house was still in my father's name, my husband will get no money from the sale, neither will my mother, since inherited assets are not subject to be split in divorces. My mother is also likely to not get any alimony, as our state is not a no-fault divorce state. I'm now over a month removed, still extremely bitter and angry at my mother, especially at her hypocrisy of calling me a loose woman and shaming my family, when she's done much worse. I also despise my ex with everything within me now, as he was sleeping with both my mom and me, in some instances coming to our bed minutes later. He got my mother pregnant less than a week after getting me pregnant, and while I thought it was so cute and fun that I shared a pregnancy experience with my mom, she was carrying my children's half-siblings. He has broken all trust I had in men and being faithful. I have already procured a good lawyer from the firm that helped us in financial matters for both me and my dad is helping pay for it. My twin brothers, one of my sisters, and my entire ex's family have gone no contact with me and my minor children, and my children have essentially lost all of their grandparents but my dad, 2 uncles, and an aunt on my side, and my husband's 3 brothers, due to this mess. I've also developed ulcers and digestive issues because of this, so I'm visiting the doctor soon and I've been in therapy since the first week of January. I've offered this for my 2 adult children if they need family therapy with all of us, but they're doing individual therapy right now. My 14-year-old knows that we're getting divorced and why, and she's so angry at her dad that I struggle sending her to his house on the weekends. I feel like she's old enough to make a decision on that, but I don't want to damage her relationship with her dad. I've told all my kids it's okay to love their dad even if he hurt me, but the oldest 2 have cut him off 100%. I won't tell my youngest 2 until they're teens why we got divorced, and everyone else has agreed to not spill anything until they're old enough to understand. As for how I had no idea this affair was ongoing, my husband confirmed to me that they would do it at my mom's office at church, in their cars, or at a motel. And when we built the business, they started having it routinely in his office once I went back to teaching. They also had it in our houses too when my father would go away on business trips or I would be out of town. It was pure happenstance that I came home a day early from a trip because I was uncomfortable from being nearly 7 months pregnant and just wanted my own bed for me to find out. Knowing they would be carrying on this full-blown affair still if I hadn't caught them is what I'm still upset about. The fact that the grandmother and father of my children cared so little about destroying our families is what I can't get past. What's hardest for me is that my own mother would do this to me and would continue to do this for years and not caring when it all blew up in her face that she would be destroying her entire family. Edit, also to add insult to injury, my husband confirmed in one of our mediated conversations that the affair started when I apparently made him angry. He didn't tell me and instead vented to my mom when they were alone. She comforted him and they did it. He loved it and then pursued her after that. He said he would have divorced me, but knew he would get cut off from her and that she was so much better at it than me, so stuck it out with me. He told me I was a placeholder. Of all the betrayal and low blows, that statement is what keeps me up at night. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. You need to change this title from "I ruined my mom's life and reputation" to "My mom destroyed our family and at the same time ruined her own life and reputation." You did absolutely nothing wrong, and you are a victim just as much as everyone else in your family that was hurt by this. Exactly right. Your mother and ex-husband are practicing DARVO, deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. Technically, they're not denying it, but only because they were caught in the act and can't deny it. But the ARVO part still applies. Can't believe his own family can still stomach him. I would disown my child if I ever found out they did this. I'm not even kidding. It's utterly evil and sociopathic. I wouldn't be able to look at my mother the same way ever again if she did this to my sister or anyone for that matter, but especially to her own child. Anyone on the mother's and husband's side is incredibly screwed in the head or, forgivably, navigating this trauma and will wake up to the reality later. As far as I'm concerned, the mother and husband should be abandoned by both sides and be left to the rest of their lives together. What they did is insane. It's actually freaking insane and sick. Holy smokes, this is extremely hard to even imagine. You and your kids might need to see a therapist. I'm sorry you have to deal with this, and I hope one day you make some relevant peace with it. I am literally shaking like I'm going to have a panic attack from just vicariously reading about this. I cannot even begin to fathom how this woman hasn't completely fallen apart. I would be hospitalized from a self-ending attempt or psychotic break or catatonic depression. This is the deepest, worst, most shocking and far-reaching betrayal. And she's pregnant, living next to twin brothers and stepsons that are a product of her mother and husband's betrayal. My God. My pregnancy is the only thing keeping me going. I have to remind myself that I'm hanging on for him and my other children. I refuse to let this take me out. My husband and mother won't get the satisfaction of destroying my life. You and your dad should get the nastiest, most bulldogish lawyers you can find and leave them both destitute. Then take the money and live your best life. It'll take you a while to get there, but you can. Now for the first update. I tried hard to go the route of a mediated divorce, but my ex told me yesterday through his lawyers that he doesn't believe that the baby I'm carrying is his, and that he wants a DNA test as soon as he's born, because he doesn't want to support a child that isn't his. He also believes I routinely cheated on him through our marriage, and that I knew about his ongoing affair, and used that as my excuse to have my own affairs. None of that is true, but I kind of wish it was because it would make the divorce easier. My lawyer basically told me to get ready for a long, drawn-out, brutally contested divorce, and that my ex is likely going to try every underhanded tactic in the book to make my life even more miserable. Talk about projection. My scum of a father also used this tactic on my mom. He's the one who cheated repeatedly, and when caught red-handed, tried to frame my mom as the cheater. I cheated because you cheated first, and you were never a good wife to me. Prick, she was busy trying to put food on the table, working her butt off to feed the whole family. and even when she works, she would bring me and my siblings to her office because no one would help her babysit us. She doesn't have time to cheat. Good thing my maternal uncles rushed to our house after the news and beat the crap out of my scummy dad. I pray that you win in life. An endless downfall on your craphead husband and disgusting mom. Pardon my language here, but she is one. Wow, your ex is a piece of turd and so is your brothers. Shock or no, the way they're blaming you is incredibly messed up. They're old enough to know better, so I would cut them off as well if I were you. This man doesn't deserve you or your kids. And now for the second update. So I will answer some questions posed both here and there. 1. My twin brothers look like my egg donor's side of the family. They look very close to my uncle and grandfather. They clearly don't look like my dad at all, but they also don't resemble my husband much either. My son looks like my soon-to-be ex, and he's the only child that you can visibly tell is his kid, although my 14 female daughter has his nose and jaw shape. 2. I was definitely enraged the day everything went down, but my dad talked me off the destructive ledge and reminded me that I needed to think of my baby and my other kids before I do something that would remove both of their parents from their lives. That is what spared them. I still lived in a rage fog for the next few days, which is what led to the revenge party. I only regret not telling my brothers privately that my egg donor had been cheating. 3. I honestly don't know all the reasons my 38 female sister is on my egg donor's side. She doesn't get along with me or my sisters, and hasn't since high school. I'm not that worried about her. 4. My twin brothers are upset that I sprung the news publicly. That is what my dad has gotten out of them. They are also in therapy, and my dad has told me to just give them time. He thinks it's just them killing the messenger. I did not tell them the possibility that my ex was their dad, but they can do math and figured out that they're the same age as my son, and he's younger than the length of the affair. My dad sat them down and explained his reasoning for the DNA test was to prove cheating, and not because he was going to abandon them. He is their dad regardless of who fertilized the egg. 5. I don't believe that my egg donor and soon-to-be ex waited until he was 18 to start doing it, but at this point I'm letting my dad fight that fight and letting him do what he needs to when dealing with her and their divorce. 6. I have contingency plans ready to enact in the event they decide to move in together, but my lawyer doesn't believe my ex is stupid enough to do that with the divorce proceedings turning ugly. 7. I forgot to add this in earlier. My husband is 4 months younger than me. My birthday is in December and his is April. He will be 40 soon. We were in the same graduating class all through school from kindergarten through high school. He's not a full year younger than me as others have speculated. I'm focusing on my pregnancy, my kids, and moving on. I may provide an update after divorces are finalized, but thanks to everyone for the support and advice. Thanks for letting this hormonal, sad, ragey, bitter woman vent and get this off her chest. Now for the third update. I had a phone conversation with my aunt today, my egg donor's sister, and she told me there is a family history of cheating in our family on their side of the family. My grandma cheated on my grandpa for years, but they reconciled. My aunt herself had multiple emotional affairs but is still married to my uncle. She tried blaming genetics on my mom's affair. I laughed out loud at the absurdity of that attempt to justify her affair, and my aunt is now mad at me for not hearing my egg donor out and her explanations for cheating. My dad and lawyer both say I should hear her out, so I'm still considering doing it right before we meet in early March to establish custody. Edit, I should mention that I asked my aunt if my mama inherited the loose woman gene, which child did she pass it on to, and how did my grandma manage to pass it on to both her daughters. So that's probably why she's mad in retrospect. I've honestly lost all sympathy for cheaters after this. Not sure what type of phone you have, but voice memo or any recording app will be your best friend throughout this whole process. Record every conversation you have with your egg donor and soon-to-be ex. Talk with your lawyer and see what information would be good to get with them, and make sure you ask them and have it on record. Ask your lawyer if they will allow you to use it in court. I was, and it showed his true colors when it came to he said items. I wish nothing but the best for you and your dad, and know that you are an amazing mom and person, and you will get through this. You are strong and amazing. What's the reason they want you to hear her out? I mean, may as well try get some closure, but why would they push it? Genuinely wondering. Lawyer wants it just to see if we can get more info for the case, while my dad thinks I need closure. I did tell him the only way I would do it is if we did it together, for both of us to move on from her antics. How is your dad handling all of this? I think he should also be in therapy as his whole life was just turned upside down like yours. This is crazy and I'm so sorry you're dealing with this, especially while heavily pregnant. No one deserves this. To hell with both of them. They are the lowest of lows. I hope you and your family find peace and a much better life after this. Best wishes. He began therapy at the beginning of February. On Valentine's Day, both my dad and I took our wedding rings to get them melted down, and my dad commissioned a divorce ring for me from our melted down rings. I've been cooking him dinner and he's been hanging out with my daughters whenever he wants or feels lonely. Plus, the twins are finally talking to him again, so he's been doing things with them and my youngest brother. And here I thought I had it bad. My mom slept with all of my boyfriends and friends in high school, and I had to carry the secret for over 20 years that my little sister is not my stepdad's, but actually the child of a friend of mine from back then. I stopped caring about the damage it would cause for the relationship between my mom and my sister and stepdad when I found out that my sister slept with the younger brother of that friend, who I know to be her father. So yeah, that means my sister did it with her own uncle. I had to tell her at that point. I can't even imagine the pain in finding out that your siblings are actually the half-siblings of your own kids, as well as yourself. You know, my mom is 60. Maybe it's something with that generation, the whole Mrs. Robinson thing. I just don't get it. This is the end of the first part. Watch the next video for the conclusion of this story. Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Update: my girlfriend is convinced that I tried to cheat on her. Original post: I, 27 male, and my girlfriend, 24 female, we'll call her Evie, have been dating for about a year now. Just this past week we went on a big vacation with our friend group, including her best friend Tara, 26 female. 3 nights ago, Evie and I were in our hotel room just chilling together when I went down to the bar to get a bottle of wine and some ice for us, and I saw Tara at a table with some guys I'd never seen before, and she looked pretty tipsy. I didn't think it looked all that safe for her being on her own like that, so I went over and made small talk and eventually asked if she needed help getting to her hotel room since it was pretty late. She agreed and we left together. But once we were in the little walkway heading back to the main hotel building, she backed me against the wall and made a pass at me, asking me to spend the night with her. I put my hand on her shoulder to move her back and turned her down, and told her she was drunk and I'd never do that to Evie, and I left her there to get back to her room herself since I was uncomfortable. Here's where I messed up. I didn't tell Evie about it when I got back to our room, because her and Tara are so close and I didn't want to ruin the vacation. But I did intend to tell her once we got back home. The only trouble is, the next day at breakfast while I was sleeping in, Tara told Evie that I was the one who'd made a pass at her while she was drunk, and that I'd gotten jealous and possessive when I saw Tara talking to those guys. And needless to say, Evie believed her. She came back to the room just quietly crying and told me what Tara had told her, and that she'd be staying in Tara's room for the remainder of the trip, and that we'd talk about our relationship when we got back home. Basically, she's going to dump me. Now I know what half of the comments are gonna say. To cut my losses with Evie if she's enough of an idiot to believe Tara over me. The trouble is, I really messed up at the beginning of our relationship after our first fight. I got really drunk and started messaging girls trying to hook up with them, and Evie found out and was absolutely devastated, so I understand if she doesn't 100% trust me with stuff like this. Also, she's only known me a year and a half at most, while Tara her whole life, and she considers Tara her second chance at having a sibling. Evie's older brother passed when he was 18 and she was 10. Also, there's the fact that I'm madly in love with her and she's the girl I want to marry, and I just can't lose her over this. I don't understand why Tara lied, but right now my priority is getting Evie back. How do I fix this? What should my next steps be? Now for the top advice before reading the updates. That's a tough one, buddy. I know hindsight is 20/20, but if something happens, you should always be the one to tell them. Think about how confused and embarrassed she must have been because she didn't even know you ran into her friend. I'd give her the full story, apologize for not thinking you needed to tell her, and let her know how important she and this relationship is to you. Don't smother her and let her process, but stay adamant about the truth. But be kind, because hearing your friend who's like a sister would betray her like that probably hurts more. Man, unfortunately, because you messed up the first time and she's still probably trying to move past that first time, and you did, I don't know if there's any way you can say this. And your friend is not your friend if she does stuff like that, at all. So stop calling her your friend, because she's not. Because friends don't do stuff like that, and it sounds like she's jealous. That's what it sounds like. Like she wants you for herself, because no girl does that just because she lied. It's because she probably wants you herself. Women tend to do that and do not say nothing about it, or just don't want you to be happy with someone else. So that's one thing you got to get out. Do not talk to her anymore. If it was me, I cut her off. But oh man, I don't know. That's just one of those things where you can try to explain yourself. But I don't know what good it can do, especially since you messed up the first time and you're trying to correct it. But I don't know. Maybe you have any type of text message or something of that nature, or maybe it's some way you can do it. But I honestly don't even know. You need to tell Evie all of this and hope she believes you. It's your best chance at fixing things. If she doesn't believe you, the relationship might be over for now. She might eventually figure out Tara and what she's been doing if it happens to her again. Tara is hateful. In general, this makes things really difficult because she most likely won't be able to hang out with both of you again. The only other advice I have is maybe pressure Tara into telling the truth, but confront her in person. Don't text her where she could use that against you. Like straight up take Evie and go over to Tara's and ask her why she said something untrue. If you're being truthful, you're 100% allowed to do that. If Tara doesn't confess, you can hope Evie takes your word for it. Tell Evie what happened and ask her to organize something with Tara where Tara doesn't know you're coming, and then point blank ask her why she lied. She most likely is never used to someone confronting her. Trust is really easy to destroy in relationships and hard to cultivate. And now for the first update. The vacation is coming to an end and a lot has happened in the past 2 days. After I made my post on here, I spoke to my best friend Matt, who's on the vacation with us, about what had gone on and what Tara had told Evie, and I was fully prepared for him to take their side since he's got a lot of baggage from being cheated on in the past. But instead, he told me he believed me. And not only that, but he brought up real concerns about the way Tara has been treating Evie in the time that we've known them. I can't say I've ever noticed it, because Tara and I have never hung out that much since our personalities clash, and Evie only ever has nice things to say about her. But Matt pointed out multiple occasions where Tara has put Evie down and been mean to her about her appearance and personality, and how it seems like Tara has this really manipulative hold over her. Looking back on it now, I definitely see it. And I feel guilty for never noticing sooner. He and I devised a plan to talk to Evie together without Tara there to hopefully get her to see sense. At first, she didn't want to hear me out, but after Matt explained his concerns, she got all quiet and sat down and just kinda stared off for a moment. Evie told me that she didn't think Tara would do something like that, and she never meant to be hurtful, and Evie called herself too sensitive sometimes, but I could see her starting to doubt Tara and make sense of things. Eventually, I managed to convince her that we should confront Tara together, and she agreed. As you can probably expect, Tara got incredibly defensive and pulled out the crocodile tears, and she started accusing Evie of choosing a man over her. I could see Evie losing her confidence, but she eventually told Tara that she didn't believe her, that she thought Tara had left her lying habits behind in their teen years. Tara then switched on a dime and got really nasty and vicious, and started calling Evie names that I won't repeat here, and more or less admitted to lying because in her opinion, Evie doesn't deserve the nice things she gets, including me apparently. She was screaming so loud, people in the next hotel room came to check on us. I got Evie out of there and told Tara to stay away from her and not try to contact her. When Evie and I were alone and had made up, she told me that wasn't the first time Tara had been nasty to her like that, and that it happened a lot in their teens and early 20s when Evie didn't go along with what Tara wanted, but that it hadn't happened in a few years, so she thought Tara had changed and gotten better. I would argue that it was one of the best vacations in your life. The growth, communication, and support of true friends and a good relationship won out over manipulation and selfishness. Yes, I suppose that is a much nicer way of looking at it. While it wasn't much of a fun vacation, I guarantee whatever the cost, it was worth it to get the girlfriend away from the toxic witch. She will likely have many therapy appointments ahead anyway to deal with all of this, but if this vacation hadn't happened, she may have spent years tagging along with this toxic friend, leaving her life in the dust behind her. I'm glad things are better between you and Evie. I really hope you learn to be honest immediately and inform your partner when someone, especially a friend, makes a pass at you like this. So much heartache and drama could be avoided by doing so. However, because it eventually exposed the piece of work Tara is, it worked out, but it absolutely could have gone the other way given your history. Evie and you could benefit from couples counseling to learn to communicate better in your relationship. Evie could also benefit from individual sessions to help deal with the treatment Tara subjected her to all those years, and further help dealing with her brother's death. I wish you both good luck on your journeys and working on your relationship together. Now for the last update. I'm just posting this here because a few things have happened, and some of you who followed me might want to know. We all managed to get home okay from the trip, and Evie stuck to her word on not being in contact with Tara. But Tara has tried ceaselessly to get in contact with her. When Evie blocked her number and social media accounts due to the endless calls and messages, Tara started calling the house phone or using payphones to try and bypass that. It's gotten real psycho too, as she's been calling us in the middle of the night. We're reluctant to get rid of the house phone because Evie's parents are technophobes and prefer to call her up the old-fashioned way, and that's how they stay in contact. When the calling didn't work, she started sending Evie letters, the contents of which were telling her that she's made a huge mistake, that I'm mistreating and manipulating Evie, and that Tara is just trying to keep her safe. There were even a few vague threats of self-harm in there if Evie didn't forgive her and dump me. I honestly thought Tara was just a reformed mean girl who loved attention when I first met her. But after all this, it's clear she has mental issues like a personality disorder or something. On Friday, she showed up at the apartment while I was cooking and told Evie again that I was mistreating her, and that she would call the police to make a complaint if that's what it took for her to leave me. She even brought up Evie's late older brother, and told her that he'd be so disappointed to see her with a man like me. Yet, Evie told her gently and calmly to leave, and that she didn't want to get a restraining order against Tara, but that she would, if this kind of stuff continued. It astounds me that she can still be empathetic and kind to Tara after everything that's happened. But since Friday we haven't heard anything, and the calls to the apartment have stopped. I suggested filing a restraining order anyway, but Evie is reluctant to because all of our friends have now cut Tara off, and it seems like she's going through some kind of mental breakdown, and she doesn't want to do anything that might make Tara do something stupid to herself. Evie has contacted Tara's parents to express her worry and see if they can do something to help her get professional help. I think I'm still going to try and convince her to get a restraining order though if things start up again. But the more I learn about Tara and her past with Evie, the more I'm relieved that the friendship is dead, and she can no longer use my girlfriend as an emotional punching bag. I struggle having sympathy for this person. I'll keep posting here until things die down. It's nice to have a place to vent. Bruh, you have to strictly tell your girlfriend she should cut off all contacts with Tara immediately. She is psycho witch. Evie is a doormat to her and still trying to win her approval. Please, if she helps her now, Tara will manipulate her again. My girlfriend isn't a doormat. She's a victim of an extremely horrible friendship that's been festering since she was a kid. Also, she's no longer in contact with Tara and has no plans to be in the future. She's just taking preventative measures to make sure Tara doesn't hurt herself or somebody else by contacting Tara's parents, who Evie has a good relationship with. Buddy, she knows what Tara can do, yet she let her into her life. She needs to be stronger than this. Tara came to your house today. Next thing you know, she is ending one of you. You need to get a restraining order from her. Tara's parents have thankfully been understanding, and have managed to stop the harassment for now and have threatened to 5150 her if she continues. I'm confused, why can't your technophobe parents just call your cell phone from their house phone? At first I think it was just stubbornness on their part. They had a weird insistence that Evie and I should have a home phone. But since I've posted this and we explained everything to them, they've agreed to contact us via our mobiles. Old people are funny like that. They need that damn restraining order, or move out because Tara is a huge red flag, possibly a psycho. According to Gavin de Becker in his book The Gift of Fear, restraining orders are generally triggers that escalate violence. Police do not enforce them. They only talk to people after they've broken them. Now for the last story. How can I, 28 female, politely ask my close friend to stop making fun of how much money me and my boyfriend make? Her husband makes a lot and she doesn't have to work in life, but she makes lots of disrespectful comments towards me and my relationship and future kids. And I hate it. Background: both me and my boyfriend work. He makes more than me, which I like. I went back to uni at 23 to try get some qualification, and I managed, and now I have a job I like at a finance firm. My friend judged me for going to school too old and said I should just focus on marriage. But I was really not interested at the time and was working through some mental health issues. I met my boyfriend 2 years ago and we are really happy together. I truly love him and he is so incredibly good to me. We can't get enough of each other and we're the kind of couple who is always together and we like it that way. I confided in her that maybe I want kids after we get married, which is in like 2 years' time, and this info triggered everything. She has a son with her husband. Her husband is a successful kids doctor, and he's lovely, but I am tired of hearing how he's the best guy in the world, and every woman who isn't married to him specifically will just be a loser for life. Seriously, this is her thinking. So basically, she constantly keeps reminding me that Europe, where we are born and living, is in a crisis, and she makes jokes that while everyone else, meaning me and my boyfriend, will be starving and regretting their life choices, her actual words, that she will be doing yoga without a care in the world. I told her that thinking this way is really unempathetic, but it's her life. These comments became more common, and she says them randomly. Like I was sick for a bit with a stomach bug, and when I went back to the office, I had that feeling of coming back after vacation, and I randomly said it like, going back to the office is always like a slap in the face. And she turned this into a long lecture about how she made better choices by marrying this rich man, and therefore will never understand the struggle of being like us. I honestly hate how she doesn't see that these comments are really rude, especially that she knows I am stressed out because me and my boyfriend are saving hard because we are moving to his home country. Like, good for her that she can never work forever, but some of us can't just do that even if we really want to lol. It's also annoying when I share goals with her. Me and my boyfriend have some dreams of buying our own farm, growing food and stuff like that. We are both massive horticulture fans and quite the green thumbs. And instead of saying, "Oh wow, that's nice," or anything encouraging, she starts putting doubts in my head. I can't even explain how she does it. Anyway, I could write forever because this started happening every day now. Anything I share with her, she has to make into a competition about how her husband is better than my boyfriend and how her life is always better than mine. She even made a comment about my family life, and she knows I grew up in an awful situation and had no parent figures, but she says things to get a reaction from me like, "I'm happy my mom showed me how to blah blah blah, because otherwise, I would have ended up with someone who doesn't earn, and I won't be able to stay home with my son now." Is this friendship a lost cause? A hopeless case? I feel like never speaking to her again if I am fully honest. What can I do? Thoughts? She's a piece of turd. She's also definitely lying. Something's off. She's talking about it this much, she's probably unhappy. And the husband doesn't love her or something. She's compensating heavy. She's definitely overcompensating for low self-esteem. The people who yell the loudest about how perfect their life is are usually just trying to convince themselves, at least in my personal experience. Can you please stop making fun of how much money me and my boyfriend make? I'm glad that you're happy in your life. I'm happy in mine. Have you ever considered that that comment is a little on the offensive side? I'd like to address something with you if you don't mind. Do you think that you are better than me? I'm glad that you're happy in your life. I'm happy in mine. I did say a variation of this at a time, but she believes that I am not truly happy, and it's really frustrating. Also this, I'd like to address something with you if you don't mind. Do you think that you are better than me? She herself sometimes says that her life is better than everyone we know. And she is not wrong. Most of us are early 20s, mid-20s or late 20s, and we are just figuring a lot of life stuff out, while she is settled and sorted for the future.